Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jessica if you are. Today is the first installment of my Pan Those Eyeshadows project for 2025. This is one of the original projects that got me into project panning as well as into making YouTube content. So it has a special place in my heart, and I think this is now my 5th year doing this project, which is crazy. I can't believe I've been on this platform for that long, but it has been such a fun ride and has gotten me to some great places. So I absolutely love this project for pushing my creativity, for forcing me to use eyeshadows in my collection that I don't normally reach for, and just to mix things together, create new color combinations, and get really good use on my eyeshadow collection, enjoying the things that I already have instead of purchasing new things that I don't need. Giving credit where credit is due, this project was created by Alexi here on YouTube many years ago, and it has really taken off in the painting community. Everybody does this project a little bit in their own way, and I have my own special way of doing it, of course. For my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, I typically am using 4 eyeshadows at a time with the ultimate goal to hit pan on those shades. But if I use them at least 30 times and over a course of at least 3 months and I still have not hit a pan, I do allow myself to roll out that eyeshadow in most cases, unless I'm so close that I just keep it in a little bit longer. But I like to try and keep these things moving. But having those 2 criteria set up makes it so that I almost always hit a pan on eyeshadows. Rarely do I roll it out without having a pan, but it does happen. Last year, I was randomly selecting 2 of my shades, and then the other 2 shades, I was using Lainey's prompts from Makeup with Lainey to allow myself to choose an eyeshadow or 2 into this project. And I really liked that format, and I'm going to be continuing that into this year. But new addition for this year, I'm going to be incorporating a 5th shadow. However, this will be an eyeshadow for my collection that already has a pan on it. So for this 5th shade, I will be just trying to expand the pan on that eyeshadow, and I will be rolling in a new eyeshadow each and every month. And I'm not going to be taking this one too seriously. If I just use the shade 5 or so times, I'll be happy with that. As long as I'm getting use on a eyeshadow with pan on it, that is going to be a success for me. I just find that those shades that already have pan on them are severely neglected because they're not a part of this project and they're not a part of my Pan That palette. I don't really give an opportunity to them if I don't make a concerted effort. So that is why I'm going to incorporate that into this project this year. So I'm excited to reach into some old friends, expand some pans, and just get use on those beloved shades that I may have forgotten about. Obviously, being the introduction video, I don't have anything to update you on, so we get to jump right on into the meat and potatoes of this video. We are going to roll in those 5 eyeshadow shades, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to be, what my color palette is going to be for this first month of eyeshadow panning. But if you are new here before we jump in and you would like to stick around, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would love that so much. My goal for 2025 is to grow my YouTube channel. If I could hit 10,000 this year, that would be absolutely incredible. But you know, I'm just so happy with where I'm at. And if I just continue to pursue my passions, I'm hoping that that'll just fall into line naturally by creating more content for my viewers. So if you like this content, please give this video a quick thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you at any point, especially if you have ideas on how I can incorporate all of these eyeshadows into a look. You always have such great input, and I've gotten some of my best inspiration from my viewers. Let's jump right on into this video. I have all of my eyeshadow palettes input into this wheel in the Tiny Decisions app. So everything is eligible to be rolled in as of now. And the only palette that I own that is not in this wheel is my current Pan That palette, which is sitting right here in my vanity. That is my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, which I am loving panning already and super excited to track the progress with you this year. But let's see what other shades I can get use on in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. So let's see what it is. I'm just gonna go one at a time here. The first one is the ABH Sultry palette. That had the potential of being my Pan That palette this year, so it's great to see that I'll be getting some use on it this year regardless. And let's go ahead and select that second palette as well while we're at it. And that one is going to be, ooh, my Potted Singles. Perfect, because I know exactly what shade I'm going to reach for that one. So now let's move on over to Lainey's prompts. Lainey has 100 prompts to choose from, and let's see what those 2 are for this first roll. a shadow from your favorite palette. That's exciting. And a fantasy self shadow. What does that mean? A shadow that your fantasy self would use, I'm guessing. That's exciting. Oh, and I almost forgot to select my eyeshadow shade that already has a pan on it that I'm going to be trying to expand this month. So let's see which palette that shade is going to come from. And I believe every palette in here has a pan in it except for one. So the odds are I'll have one to choose from. Let's see what's coming back in, what old friend we can revisit here. Okay, the Too Faced Chocolate Gold. Love that palette and excited to reach for it again. I have a lot of thinking to do, so let me grab those palettes and we will start making some choices. Here's my ABH The Sultry palette, and I already have several pans in this palette already. I have 3 pans out of the 14 shades. I have a pan on Pearl, also in Birch, and this bottom shade right here is Teak. So that means out of these 14 shades, 11 of them are eligible to be rolled into this project. So let's see which of those is going to come in. Okay, so I have the numbers 1 through 11 in this random number generator on the Tiny Decisions app, and the number that is coming in is number 2. So we're skipping over the shades that already have a pan in them. So we're skipping right over Fresh. I called it Pearl before. This is Fresh. And we are skipping over 1 and then 2. So that is the shade Steampunk, a really pretty bronzy brown color. Here is Steampunk in the swatch. It is a really beautiful gold. I'm actually really excited to reach for this shade. Not the best shade for January, but it's a neutral. I can wear this shade at any time of year, really. There are no rules. And I just love how metallic this shade is. And we know that the ABH shimmer formulas are quite easy to hit pan on. So I am hopeful that that should get me a pan in maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but it shouldn't take me too long and shouldn't be too difficult. So very excited for that one. Welcome back, Sultry palette, and it'll be very exciting to have another pan on this palette. I really only have 2 potted singles that it's possible to hit pan on, and one of those potted singles is already in my rolling project pan, and the other one is on my list of plan to pan in 2025. So that is the one that's going to come into this project, and that one is, of course, from ColourPop. This is one of their Super Shock shadows, and this is the shade 10 out of 10, and it's a beautiful silver shade, and this was a celebration shade for their 10th anniversary. So here is 10 out of 10. You can see it used to have a number 10 embossed on there, and I have been slowly wearing it away, and I absolutely love the silver shade. I've been wearing it a ton. I wore it a lot in December. It was such a beautiful shade for the holidays, and it is a gorgeous silver. I absolutely love wearing silvers on the eye, and I'm excited to have this in a project and really force myself to get use on it. Here's the swatch of 10 out of 10. And again, you can see how metallic it is. The gold and the silver together look so festive next to each other. And this one might take me a little bit longer because it's not an everyday shade that I'm going to be reaching for, but it is so fun and so beautiful. And I'm excited to have a really good reason to focus my efforts on it and get a pan on it for you. For the first of Lainey's prompts, a shade from my favorite palette, I decided to reach for my Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, and I just love this palette so much. Obviously, it's one of my favorites. I would say this is tied with maybe 1 or 2 others as my favorite palette, but I haven't reached for this one in quite some time, and I just missed it. So here it is in this project. So here's what my Rose Quartz palette is looking like today. I do have a couple pans on this. I have a pan over here in Joy and as well as one in Cherished. So of these, what do we have? 18 shades in here. I have 16 of them eligible, and I thought about just selecting a shade, but I couldn't. So I'm going to randomly generate a shade just to kind of keep this a little more interesting for myself. I don't have a lot of preference as far as what I get, so let's just see what the panning gods have in store for me. I have the numbers 1 through 16 in the Tiny Decisions app, and the number that the panning gods want to give to me is number 6. All right, so skipping over those shades that already have pan on them, that brings me to this shade right here, Precious, which is a very taupey kind of grayish brown shade, which is not a shade I would have selected on my own, but that's what I love about this project. It pushes me to choose things that I wouldn't normally reach for, and I actually think this is going to be a really nice addition to my current Pan That palette because it doesn't have a lot of cool tone shades, and that's something I'm kind of missing in my eyeshadow life during this time of year when I love wearing cool tones. So let me swatch Precious for you. I think this will also pair really nicely with the other shades that I'm panning so far. Oh, what a pretty taupey shade. So there it is. It almost has like a purpley undertone, and I think that's gonna go so nicely with the silver shade, and I can just see myself pairing it with a lot of different things. So I'm glad I got to roll in a matte. If I had selected, I probably would have reached for one of the duochrome shades in here, but that's why I didn't leave it up to me, because I didn't want to work on all shimmers unless the painting gods had that in store. So it's kind of nice that I brought in a matte that I can incorporate into these shimmers that I already have in this project. And here's what Precious is looking like today. It has hardly a disturbance in it at all, so I'm excited to get some good use on this. I know that these eyeshadows can be really difficult to hit pan on, so I don't know if I will hit a pan after 30 uses and 3 months, but I will of course do my best and meet those 2 criteria before this one goes anywhere. Or maybe I'll surprise myself and I will hit pan. That would be nice. The next of Lainey's prompts was my fantasy self eyeshadow. So I imagine this is a shadow that I would wear in my fantasy world that I would maybe not normally wear in a normal work day. And when I thought about that, I immediately thought of my Odin's Eye Jewels and Gem palette. This has so many beautiful duochromes in here, and it's a newer palette in my collection that hasn't gotten a lot of use. I'm going between the duochromes in here, which are High, Rhapsody, and Swoon. And after swatching them and comparing them with the other shades that I already have pulled so far, I'm gonna go ahead and try and pan Rhapsody. It is a beautiful kind of like bluish pinky duochrome shade. Here it is in the swatch. It actually pulls a lot more gold on camera, but I think it's gonna pair really nicely with both the taupe shade as well as the silvers and golds in here. It'll be a beautiful topper shade. It can just jazz up any other mundane run-of-the-mill makeup look. So I think that'll be really fun to incorporate into this project. Here's what Rhapsody is looking like in the pan right now. Not much use on it to speak of, but that will not go for long. I'm really hoping to have a pan on this one in the next couple months for you. So those are all of the shades that I'm working on panning, but I have not forgotten that there was another shade that I'll be trying to expand the pan on, which will be coming from my Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. Here's what my Chocolate Gold palette is looking like today. I have currently 4 pans in this palette. This was my Project Level Up last year or the year before, so I got a lot of pans on it. I have a pan on Old Money, New Money, as well as Halafa Adala and Rollin' in the Dough. Rollin' in Dough is a pretty boring shade, just kind of like a lid setting shade, so I wouldn't be super excited to reach for that one, but it would be an easy one. I'm gonna include it in the random generator, so we'll put 1 through 4 in my little Tiny Decisions app and see what we have in store. Okay, let's see what we have from 1 through 4. Number 3, and I think that is the pink shade, so that is very fun, if I'm correct. No, I'm not. It's actually Halafa Adala, which is a really fun shade, actually. It was difficult for me to pan, but it looks like a blackish gold, and it's kind of a unique shade. It's not something I really typically reach for. So it's good that I'm pulling it into this project because I probably wouldn't otherwise. Here is Halafa Adala. It's a very dark, like burnt gold shade, and it's pretty. It's really beautiful in the outer part of the lid to deepen up a shimmer, and I think it will pair nicely with the other shimmers that I have in this project. So 4 shimmers and 1 matte. And again, I'm not going to stress too much about Halafa Adala. Here's what the pan is looking like today. It's a very tiny little baby pan, so if I can get it just a little bit bigger, that'll be great. I'm going to put my usage goal for any of my expand those pan shades at 5, and I think if I get more than 5 uses, great, but at least 5 will get that pan just a little bit bigger, and I'll be satisfied with that. So that is all for my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I'm excited for this color palette. I think it's going to be really fun to incorporate these shades with my current Pan That palette and just get some great use on all of the beautiful shades in my collection that I love so much, that I spent my good money on, that are finally going to get some attention this year. And I can't wait to dig in and see what looks I'm able to create, which I will definitely share in my next update. Oh, but before I forget, in this video, my Pan Those Eyeshadows videos is where I like to discuss my pan percentage. So I keep track of all of the shades of eyeshadow in my collection, as well as all of the pans I have on those eyeshadows. And I have a arbitrary goal that I'm trying to reach just to make sure I'm getting use on these palettes and to track my progress throughout the year. So as of today, I counted up all of my eyeshadow pans, and I have 448 individual shades of eyeshadow in my collection today. And of those 448 shades, I currently have pan on 85 of them. So my pan percentage starting off this year is 18.97%, which is a great number. I'm very happy with that number, but we are still gonna try and get it to increase. So my goal for this year, I have decided, is to hit 25% in my pan percentage in 2025. And I think I can do that. I made a big jump in my pan percentage last year. I think I ended 2024 with a pan percentage around 22%, maybe just above 22%. But I decluttered, or I'm going to declutter. I haven't done it yet. I haven't quite allowed myself to let go of it yet, but I'm going to. My Pan That palette from 2024, my BH Cosmetics Shine XO The Remix palette. So removing those 18 pans from my pan percentage, as well as the 18 pans from my current collection. And then also adding 25 new unpanned eyeshadows from a newer palette in my collection. That has brought my pan percentage down significantly from 22 down to 18.97. Still a great number, but we can do better. So I think I can hit that 25% mark. I'm really gonna strive for it. And I'm just excited to see what I'm able to do this year. So that is all for my Pan Those Eyeshadows introduction for 2025. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment down below and say hi. Let me know any ideas you have for color combinations on these eyeshadows. I love hearing your input. But that's all from me today. I'm sending my love out to you wherever you are in the world this video finds you, and I hope you're doing well. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Bye.